Stop for a moment. Look at your life objectively. Not the highlight reel you present to others, but the actual day-to-day. The decisions you make, the opportunities you pass on, the dreams you've shelved. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. Did you actively choose this, or did you inherit it by default? Most people don't construct their lives, they inherit them. They inherit the belief that certain things aren't for them, that some paths are closed, that mediocrity is simply realistic. And the trap isn't forced upon you through violence or threats. It's maintained through something far more subtle, your own acceptance of invisible limitations. This is what separates those who break free from those who remain stuck. Not talent, not circumstances, but whether you can see the chains at all.
Chain 1. The comfort threshold. You've been taught that comfort is the goal. Build stability, reduce risk, maintain what you have. But comfort is a speed bump disguised as a destination. The moment you stop pushing, you stop growing. Not gradually, immediately. Here's what most people miss. The world doesn't reward consistency, it rewards evolution. While you're protecting your safe position, others are expanding theirs. The gap compounds silently, invisibly, until one day you notice you've fallen behind without understanding when it happened. Real growth lives on the other side of discomfort, not recklessness, deliberate discomfort. Taking on challenges that stretch your current capacity, entering conversations where you're not the smartest person in the room, building skills that feel awkward at first. The moment you stop seeing discomfort as a warning and start seeing it as a signal that you're evolving, everything shifts. But most people never make that shift. They protect their ease instead of protecting their future.
Chain number 2. Inherited identity. You have a story about who you are. You're not a risk taker. You're not creative. You're not the type to speak up in meetings. You're not ambitious enough to pursue that. This story feels true. It feels like facts about yourself. But it's not. It's a narrative you've been building since childhood through accumulated feedback, social reactions, and repeated behavior patterns. You internalized a comment someone made when you were 12. You reinforced a label based on one failure. You built walls around yourself based on someone else's limited vision of who you should be. The devastating part isn't that this false identity exists, it's that you've made it your prison. You filter every opportunity through it. You reject paths that don't align with it. You choose actions that reinforce it even when those actions limit you. But here's the truth. An identity that was formed can be reformed. It wasn't carved into your DNA. It was constructed through repetition. And repetition can be changed through different choices, different environments, different behaviors. The people who transform their lives don't do it through motivation or willpower. They do it by refusing to be loyal to a version of themselves that never served them. Your mind is a battlefield for everyone else's priorities. Notifications, feeds, endless streams designed to capture your focus and keep it fragmented. The system doesn't need to prevent you from building something meaningful. It just needs to ensure you never focus long enough to actually build it. You feel busy, exhausted even, but busyness isn't progress. You can fill every waking hour with activity and move nowhere. Real power lives in protected focus, in deciding where your attention goes instead of allowing it to be stolen in small increments, in recognizing that every minute spent in reactive mode is a minute you're not in control of your direction. Start treating your attention like your most valuable asset, because it is. Reduce inputs intentionally. Create space for deep work. Notice when time is being extracted from you without giving anything back. This will feel uncomfortable. Silence replaces noise.
Focus feels harder than distraction. But inside that discomfort is sovereignty, because when you take back your attention, you take back your life.
You carry beliefs that aren't yours, standards that were inherited, limits that someone else decided were realistic for you. From childhood, you absorbed messages about what's possible, who gets to dream big, who should settle, what's too ambitious. These messages came through tone, through what was celebrated and what was dismissed, through the invisible rules of your environment. Over time, you internalized them so completely that they stopped feeling like external rules and started feeling like internal truths. Now you enforce them yourself. No one needs to stop you from trying. You do it automatically. Social pressure reinforces this constantly. When you deviate from the norm, resistance pulls you back. Sometimes it's direct, usually it's subtle. Doubt in a comment, distance in a relationship, the implication that you're being unrealistic. But here's what matters. The moment you identify a belief as borrowed rather than chosen, it loses its grip. You can question it, challenge it, decide whether it actually serves your direction or whether it's just inherited programming. Most people never do this work. They live inside borrowed beliefs for their entire lives. But the few who examine their own thinking, who separate what's truly theirs from what they absorbed, they operate on a completely different level. You are the average of your environment. Not just your immediate circle, but everything you're exposed to. The conversations you hear, the standards you see modeled, the possibilities you witness demonstrated. If everyone around you settles, you begin to lower your expectations without noticing. If growth is rare in your environment, stagnation starts to feel acceptable. If you're surrounded by people operating within safe limits, those limits begin to feel natural. This isn't intentional manipulation, it's simple alignment. Humans are wired to adapt to their surroundings. Your thinking reshapes itself to match what you see repeatedly. The shift happens when you take conscious control of your environment, not impulsively cutting people off, but evaluating influence honestly, seeking out perspectives that challenge you, not just comfort you, creating distance from patterns that keep you static. This will feel isolating at first. When you step outside familiar influence, you lose the comfort of alignment, but what you gain is far more valuable: clarity, independence in thought, and the ability to define your own standard instead of inheriting one. The system that keeps you average doesn't use force. It uses familiarity. It makes limitation feel like normalcy. It convinces you that where you are is where you belong. But every single chain I've described, comfort, identity, attention, borrowed beliefs, environmental gravity, every one of them breaks the moment you see it clearly and decide to act differently. The question isn't whether you're capable of more. The question is whether you're willing to stop defending the version of yourself that keeps you small. Most people won't. They'll continue protecting their ease, reinforcing their inherited identity, and living inside other people's visions of what's possible for them. But you're different. You're watching this because something inside you already knows there's more. So the real question is, what are you going to do about it?